Oh, it's number 3. We're still at it. The ghost. Oh, you think you're gonna hang these thin wrenches, huh? Yeah. I'll figure this out one of these days. This whole situation. This is well, we'll figure it out. Oh, yes. Look at this, friends and neighbors. What do we got here? What? This is 24 hours of soaking in the simple green. Look at all that stuff floating in there. Like it's simple black now. I can see you can see how ridiculous I look in the reflection, can't you? All right, let's see. Oh, it's taking some rust off, taking some paint off. Oh, that's good. All right. Got protection this time. Not messing around. There's going to be some foul stuff in here. It actually doesn't smell too bad. Kind of just smells like simple green. So we'll save this. We're just going to put it in another vessel, I think, and filter it later. It's a Friday before a 3-day weekend, and here I am outside of working hours, spending it with you. Think about that. We'll talk. Maybe we'll talk more about that. Look at all that. Yeah, see, that's taking some paint off. You can see it took some rust off, and you can see the old paint. I don't have the. Well, actually, I do have them kind of handy. Let's see. Let's take a peek here. I did have to go out in the field today. In fact, I was using the 10-incher today. Let's see. Yeah, that's the same color. The dark spots there. Wow, but you see there's some yellow and orange. But that red, that's that unmistakable rigid color. Look at this. Ugh. It's almost doing what typically happens with the Evapo-Rust, where the paint's coming off. Just slime. But as you can tell, there's still a pretty good layer of rust on here. But it's going to go in much cleaner. Yeah, the simple green or a degreaser is going to cost, if you want to be, I'm not sponsored by anybody. A degreaser or what have you is cheaper than Evapo-Rust. And if I have to purchase more of the degreaser, that's not that big a deal. Not going to hurt my wallet too much. But if I'm buying the Evapo-Rust, well, that's a different story. That stuff's kind of pricey. And you don't have to use Evapo-Rust. That's one brand. I've used WD-40 makes the same product, whatever it is, some proprietary rust remover, and it works just as good. It does this. I think it's probably the same stuff. I want to try to get most of this paint off if I can. Yeah, there's still some dirt in this. Wow. Let's grab the brush here. Yeah, look at that. Yucca. Yucko. Yucko, my friends. Look at this. Wow. That is quite disgusting. Don't worry, I have a cleaning lady's gonna come in and yep. I found that joke to be quite hilarious. I would have someone come in here and clean this place. Alright. Not getting as much of this. Oh no, I don't want to get goop all over my Lansky sharpening system. That'd be a problem. And that's another thing. I mean, another thing. you know, I talk about why I do this, what's the purpose, as far as the restorations and refurbishment goes. But what about this whole making this video? Why do it? Well, for one thing, I enjoy making videos. I've been doing that since I was a kid. I used to make stop motion movies with action figures. If you remember that, there was a kids, or not kids, but it was a cartoon called Home Movies. It was with like intellectual 8-year-olds who made movies. And it was basically, I used to watch that because I'm like, that's me, you know. Felt nostalgic when that show came on for when I was what I thought was intellectual 8-year-old making movies. Let's see here. I've got to get this, figure out this frame. See, I've got this strapped to my head, so just remember that. But see, there's a spring, like yeah, that's just in there, and I just want it to stay in there. But I want to make sure it's still good. Okay. Spring clip, I think. I get my terminology correct. But anyway, yeah, why make these videos, you know? Because I like it. I like making videos. What else did I do? When I was in junior high, I used to make a monthly, although I just kind of made them when I made them, videos that would, you know, talk about what was going on around the school or whatever was interesting to me that I could subversively put in there. In high school, did the same kind of thing, although I did, there were more of us. I was a big fish in the small pond in junior high, and then in high school it was the opposite. But I always thought of myself as like an auteur, and I would make these very kind of artistic, you know, how you say, megalomania or something. Yeah, I really had unwarranted self-importance for sure. And then after that, I got more interested in audio production and worked on that. And that's similar to video production. But then I got back into doing videos for this woman I knew who ran a film class for kids through the Parks Department, San Diego County Parks or whatever. It was done at Balboa Park in San Diego. And if the certain kids, just editing was not their thing, so then they would get the unfortunate it would help maybe inspire them the next time they took the class to do their own editing, because I would edit their videos for them. They had no idea. None of them had ever met me or knew I existed, and they would give us, they would have these notes, you know, I want this movie to be this and blah, 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 and I want this to happen first. And I never looked at any of that. I just made whatever I wanted out of their footage. And I have no idea what the reactions were. I think there was one for however many semesters. It was like 4 or 5 in a row. She actually requested that I do the editing. She liked what I did. She would shoot a story, and they were all sequential. They all had something to do with each other, and sort of like a fantasy epic almost. And I just did whatever I wanted with them. I gave them all French titles. I think one, they're like about wizards and fairies and stuff. And I did one, and I called it Ducks in the Rain, but translated in French. I don't know what that is off the top of my head, but I did fun stuff like that. And then hold on. Like I said, you know, in my 20s, I was editing kid movies. You know, they were in this film class, a free film class. I think it was free here. I don't know what the deal was. It was offered through the parks, and yeah, and also I have about, I don't know, about 10 YouTube channels, at least 10, all different kinds of stuff. I have one that's been very successful. I still get checks and stuff for. I haven't done anything on it in about 8 years. But it sort of marries the two, the video production and the audio production, where I read audiobooks. Now, I'm being a little more natural in these, speaking off the cuff and in my own, it's Southern California accent, dude. But I have been told I have a voice for radio. So I would do these haughty, very long books. And I would talk like this. Not really doing it justice now. It's hard to go back to that sort of thing I was doing out of practice. But those have actually proven to be very popular, and it's been on subjects that are kind of what you would call specialty subjects. And when I meet people that are into that kind of stuff that I was reading the audiobooks of, they all know who I am when I start talking. They're like, "Oh, you've been reading to me." And I try to keep my on my various YouTube channels that I have. I don't know, you wouldn't know it was me unless you know me. I don't make any effort to share my identity or who I am. I don't, no clues or anything like that. I do my own thing. Just let the work speak for itself. But this, what I'm doing here, is a different sort of exercise. Because what I started doing, why I got this thing strapped to my head in the first place, is I started making videos at work, sort of how-to or pitfalls, or so there's certain tasks that I cover a region, and there's guys like me who cover other regions, and they might not be as experienced as me in a lot of these job-specific tasks. And because of the ongoing situation in the world, we can't get together and do any kind of hands-on training like we used to. And so I started making videos where I've got this camera strapped to my head, and and by doing so, I'm able to, and these are all shared internally. I don't put those out for anybody to see. And what that's done is sort of re-inspired me as far as, maybe instead of doing other people's material or trying to do some kind of haughty, video editing, storyboards and story and script and everything else, because I've thought about doing radio dramas and things like that, and or podcast of some kind, although that's all, I don't know if that's really what I want out of my life at this point. But I have a lot of interests, a lot of things that I like to do that I could share, and this is a better format to share those things than I think a few posts on social media or whatever. And I find that this is easier way to do it than a few words on a Facebook post or a picture on Instagram or whatever. So that's kind of my reasoning for it. And also, let's try something new. Like I said, I was able to build a pretty solid audience with several YouTube channels that I still get checks for, and I'm still getting new subscribers to those channels. And there's, I haven't done anything on any of them in a long time, almost a decade. And, well, maybe I can build something different where it's maybe more about whatever I want to do. And what I want to do right now is show this, but maybe I can show you some of my other hobbies and interests that are maybe industrial related, like this, like scrapping or scrap metal, repairs of small engines, small motors rather, hobby electronics, these sorts of things. Maybe even book reviews or music reviews. I noticed the biggest interactions I've had, and I have a ton of friends on social media, like people I've grown up with or family members or people I've met over the years. but I have like a small circle that I think responds to my posts or what I have to say or whatever's going on. But what's brought people out of the woodwork that I think are just names on a list, and I don't even, and maybe they post infrequently or whatever. I scroll, maybe I'm scrolling by them too, but the stuff with the tools has brought anything I've posted about, you know, here's a tool I've restored, or I had this incident where I had some tools stolen. It brought people like I hadn't talked to in forever out of the woodwork, saying, hey man, that sucks that happened, or oh dude, that looks really cool. Another post that did that, where it brought people out of the woodwork, was I just had I was waxing poetically about a certain, I'm not going to say their name now, but a certain a famous musician, or he's a musician, and a rap artist. Okay, but he does more than that, I think, at this point. And it brought people out of the woodwork, and I mean, controversial type figure like that, you know, got people talking. And so, I mean, I don't really want to get into that sort of thing where I just start talking about pop culture or whatever, but, you know, I have interest in that too. So, I mean, we'll just see where this goes. I just want to try something a little more raw, a little more free, and I'm testing it out, testing the waters with my people, and then we'll see if it's worth engaging the world with it. But there's a lot of you know, I have cable, and I have like every channel, and I hardly ever watch it. Maybe a soccer game comes on, I watch that, or a baseball game or whatever, football. But like, I have every channel. I don't watch any of that stuff. I spend my time, when I have a moment to watch TV, I'm watching YouTube. I'm watching guys like, there's this Australian guy, I'm going to try not to name drop too much, but there's this Australian guy who scraps old computers and stuff. I watch him like every week. If he puts a video out, I have to see it. There's another guy every Friday. He's another Australian. Now, because it's a 3-day weekend, I'm going to let this settle. I'll put a lid on it here. I'm going to let this settle, and then either ladle it out or filter it into another vessel. I'll reuse it. I mean, it's still good. It's highly concentrated. It's actually flattened this bend here. Anyway, yeah, so I watched this this other Australian guy who melts like brass and copper into bullion and bars and all kinds of neat stuff, and he doesn't speak at all. The other guy, the scrapper from Australia, he's talkative. I mean, if I could be as interesting as he is while he's doing his thing, that'd be, I mean, a recipe for success right there. But there's all sorts of people I watch. There's a guy, I'll name drop this dude, Hand Tool Rescue, and he doesn't speak very much, and there's sort of an ASMR or whatever that's called approach to his channel, and he restores hand tools and other. I think the last thing he did was like a steam engine. I mean, he's not just, guy's like an engineer. I'm just a lowly, and I think Evapo-Rust actually sponsors that guy. So I mean, I watch all this kind of stuff. There's another guy he's out of LA. He sounds, I think it might be Jello Biafra from the Dead Kennedys, although I think he lives in San Francisco. But he repairs old transistor radios and TVs and stuff. Here's what I'm gonna do first. And yeah, I mean, there's so much stuff out there that I watch. I'd rather watch that kind of stuff than you know, what the latest TV show or whatever the latest fad is. So, all right, but part of this is also helping teach and show you how certain things are done. So there is some paint left on here. What I could do, and what I probably should do, what I'm not going to, is I could come here to this wire wheel and just wire it all off. But that, well, I try to keep this because this is a hobby. It's not work or any of that. I'm trying not to spend too much time on this because the simple green will take care of this paint. And there's not much of it. If I had left all that, when I took this out of the, pardon me, if the Evapo-Rust will take all this paint and whatnot off, if I had left this, if I had left everything that was on here without wiping it or hitting it with the wire brush first before I put the Evapo-Rust in, that could be a problem. But as you can see, it's got this kind of rusty patina on it. What will happen is we're going to soak this in Evapo-Rust for 3 days. I mean, it's Friday. We'll be back Tuesday, and we'll take it out. And maybe what I'll do is the opposite of what I've been doing. I'll come in early and take it out and do the first polish. And then, because the polishing process is the longest process for this, and then of course we're going to paint it too. So we're going to get real wild with this, with these tools here. So we've got it in the bucket here. I'm talking about, you know, YouTube channels that I like or whatnot, and what this is about, what I'm trying to accomplish with this particular project. Filming, you know, what is essentially a hobby and an interest of mine, and seeing what we can get from that. What we have, instead of being just a consumer, I can also create something, and that's, I think, important to me. I've always had an interest in cameras and making things, and so yeah, let's do something a little more personal. I've done so much that's in a way, when I started making videos, it was like, you know, written by Joe, directed by Joe, starring Joe, this and that Joe, Joe's the best, to stuff where I don't put my name on it at all. It might as well not have been made by me. To now, I think I've humbled myself enough that, you know, I can do something that, yeah, this is what I'm interested in, this is what I like, and this is what I want to do. You know? Does any of that make sense? Well, it makes sense to me, so that's good enough at this point. But, you know, I'm someone who, I have a variety of interests. I gotta be careful in pouring this in. You know, there's product placement there. I feel when it comes to things like this, yeah, there's something that can be learned here that might spark the interest for somebody else. Maybe this is all the kick you needed to try something out. Maybe you've got a big pile of tools that your dad or your grandfather or whoever, your uncle, friend, maybe you found it at a estate sale. Maybe you're at an estate sale and you see a big box of rusty tools for $5 or something. You go, you know what? Joe showed me how to do it, how to fix this stuff. And you know what? That'd be great. If that sparks the interest, if that gets you into a hobby, that's actually very rewarding. And can, in some way, I think, you know, there's always a market for well-made tools. These are Ridgid tools. I mean, they, you know, this was like $30 or more. This little one, I mean, brand new. Imagine one from, who knows how old these are, you know, becoming, you know, restoring it to this quality, to this, something that looks like this, and being like, yeah, not only did I get a bargain, but I also have something that's mine, that's, and not just because I etched my name into it, but because, you know, I put something into it. And that's how I felt about the Tremont pipe wrenches that I was using out in the field. You know, I had these that I had done research on them and had painted them that you know, Ford Model T color, and you know, And it was like when I take those out, people were like, oh wow, that's so cool that you have that, you know. And I'm like, yeah, I worked on these, you know. That was and you see the Evapo-Rust starts working immediately. Look at that, you can already tell, you can already see that shine. It starts, yeah, look at all that. And that's all little bits of rust. All those little floaties in there. Wow. This is amazing. So with the Evapo-Rust, I'll give it a few agitations here. Sort of like photography, old school photography. Yeah, the color of this almost looks like some other liquid. Anyway, we'll just put it like that for now, and hang up some of these items, and really we'll just go away. We'll just say goodbye, because all that's left is time. And that's the beauty of this. You can do other things if you have a lot of different interests. You're not just sitting there, because you could do all of this on a wire wheel with a wire brush, what this chemical is doing to this tool. But who's got time for that? Nobody. So, you know, save your arm, save yourself. Just put it in the bath and let the chemicals do their thing. You'll come back, and when we come back on Tuesday, we're gonna find completely clean tools. It's gonna amaze you when you see it. Just what this stuff can do. I mean, this is a magic potion here. So, with that, you know, let's grow together. Let's figure this out together. Let's go on a journey with fizzing, and see where this takes us. And at the very least, we'll have some cool vintage pipe wrenches that are back to their original glory. Well, this is the third one. We're on a roll now. We're going to try to figure out the organic creation of this, whatever this channel. I have a couple ideas for what I want to call it, this project here, this video project, and maybe I'll pick up the pace, start talking a little more, be a little more exciting. But maybe y'all want to go to sleep. Maybe you want me to lull you to sleep. I can do that too. Whatever boats your float.